Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to Art of Awakening. My name is Ona Christie, and in this video, I want to address a question from a viewer about the 12 universal spiritual laws. This person asks, why are these laws always used for good things? Why must you use positivity and not negativity? Like, why can't I use negative energy to hurt my enemies or make misfortune happen to someone who wronged me? Why is it always unity and never divisive power? I want a serious answer, please. Okay, so first of all, absolutely, this deserves a serious answer. It's a very legitimate question. So the answer is yes, you can. We have free will. You can use these laws for negative things. And in fact, an understanding of these laws, right, has been used for millennia for negative things. The real question, I think, that is being asked between the lines is, why is it not wise to use these laws or knowledge of these laws in negative ways? Okay, so that's the answer I'm actually going to address, is why is it not wise to leverage universal law in a negative way? And I feel like the best way to answer this is to actually look at the laws themselves, and they will reveal the answer. Now, there's a short answer to this, a very quick shortcut. So if that's all you need, this is what it is. If we look at the first universal law, the law of mentalism, states that the universe or all things are mental and they're all part of one universal consciousness. Okay, and so the reason that you can even leverage these laws in a negative way is it all depends on your understanding of this first law of mentalism. If your heart is activated, you will immediately look at this law and you'll see the unity that's inherent in the universe. Okay, all things are mental and they're all part of one universal consciousness. When your heart's activated, it becomes very clear that because we are all part of this one field, this one consciousness, that whatever I do, right, is going to reflect on all of it. Therefore, anything that I do to another person in a negative way is going to eventually come back at me, because when I do things that are negative, it's going to impact all of it. Okay, if your heart is activated, that's all you're going to need, right, to show you that it's really not wise to act in negative ways, or destructive or intentionally harmful ways, right, towards others. If your heart is not activated, however, you are likely to understand this law in terms of power, okay? And you're going to look at it and you're going to say, oh, okay, well, if the universe is mental and we're all part of this one universal consciousness, that means that I can influence everything, right, through the mental capacity, through the mind. And that's very true as well. So if that's where you're at, and seeing these laws as a means to power, they are, and that's why these laws have been occulted or hidden for millennia. Okay, and because they are so powerful, and those who historically have been aware of them and wanted to keep the power for themselves have made this a very difficult thing to access. But when we start looking at the other spiritual laws, right, that those will really explain the mechanism by which this works. When you look at the law of correspondence, right, shows us that as above, so below, right? You can actually also apply it to as I treat myself, so I treat somebody else, right? That very basic spiritual instruction, the golden rule, right? Treat others as you treat yourself, or love your neighbor as yourself. That's the law of correspondence, okay? And there's a reason why that's the instruction. Through that law of correspondence, you are harming yourself when you're harming somebody else. When you do loving actions towards somebody else, that will come back at you, right? And one can ask, well, why don't we see that right away? Because there's a delayed effect, right? And because the world itself has this polarity, and it takes a while for all these karmic actions to add up. Through the law of rhythm, we understand that things go back and forth, right? There's a rhythm to things. Consciousness on this planet was once high, it fell, and now we're at this turning point where it's on the way back up. And what this means is that any of that really, the negative use of the law that has been, has been used is going to accumulate karma, right? This is the law of compensation, which is the law of karma. And you have to realize, when you leverage your energy in a negative way, it will eventually come back at you. This works in conjunction with the law of rhythm. And so the deeper you go into using your energy in a negative way, the more violently that karma is going to ricochet back at you at some point. Okay, and so what happens, the trap is with negative energy, or using your power in a negative way, is that you have to keep getting more and more and more and more negative, because you have to draw that energy from others, right? You're not cultivating it from within. You're not tapping into that universal energy. You're drawing it from other beings, right? In this plane. And so it requires more and more and more negativity in order to fuel, even keep you going. Okay, and this on this planet has happened over millennia to such an extent that the degree of evil that's been, has been perpetrated on the world has become very extreme. But that's why this is such a monumental shift, because we are at that turning point. Okay, you can feel it, and when the light returns, it's going to ricochet back pretty hard. It's already starting, and it's really going to, those who've been really deeply into this death agenda mode, they're going to get hit in the face really hard. And this isn't a judgment day thing call on my part. It's simply the way the energy works, right? And so do what you want, but if your vibration isn't high enough to intuitively see that you using negative energy to hurt your enemies and so forth is actually not going to do you any good, but at least maybe use your mental capacity and look at these laws and really sit with them, because they will show you exactly why it's not wise, right? Why it's wise to actually start to cultivate the heart. Because when we start to cultivate the heart and expand the heart energy, we begin to be able to tap into the universal power. And instead of trying to gain energy from those around us, from other incarnate beings, now we're tapped into the infinite source of energy, right? Of universal life. Okay, and what's more powerful? You're never, ever, ever going to tap into anywhere near the power of universal energy by trying to extract energy from those around you. It's impossible, because universal energy is infinite, right? And each little facet of the universe, our little beings, we are finite except for the core of who we are, our higher self that actually is tapped into that universal energy. Okay, so ultimately, through the law of rhythm, which ricochets what you've done back at you, the law of correspondence, which says that as I treat others, so it's going to come back at me, or the law of compensation, right, which is an elaboration on the law of correspondence. you can really see that the karma that you're going to be accruing by using your negative energy against others is all going to come right back at you multiplied, right? It's going to be amplified by the forces of life, right? And it's going to annihilate you, actually, if you are not able to reverse that within yourself first. Okay. Now, if you've been using your negative energy to hurt others, you still have free will choice at this point, right? You can still, look at what's happening, what you've done, and start to reverse that. And that is by taking responsibility for your energy and for making amends the best you can for any harm that you've done by asking forgiveness, right? And it has to be really deeply felt, right? First of all, you got to forgive yourself. And, so you can reverse any kind of energy that whatever is a way an energy is spinning. If it's spinning in a positive way, it can be reversed. That's what these, negative forces have been doing over millennia. But if it's spinning in the negative, it can also be reversed. Okay, this is using the law of polarity for transmutation. And, we can even do that in negative or positive ways. But I really suggest considering using it in positive ways, because that's going to assist in pulling you out of whatever negativity your soul has engaged in. Okay, so I hope that this has been helpful. If you've enjoyed this video and feel like it's been helpful to you, there's a few things you can do to help others to receive this lesson as well. You can like this video; it helps with the YouTube algorithm. And you can also share the video. And if you haven't yet subscribed, I invite you to do that now. And remember, you were born to be free.